Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're going to be taking a look at some new weapons for the Imperial and Chaos Knights. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and Warcry content as well. So obviously we have new codexes coming for the Imperial and Chaos Knights, and what better to go along with them than some previews of our weapon profiles, where they were and where they are now. So let's take a look. Who wears it better? Imperial and Chaos Knights get upgraded weapons. Knight houses have always been competitive. Traitor and Loyalist households have a particular enmity. So with both Codex Imperial Knights and Codex Chaos Knights just over the horizon, they are itching to do battle with an extensive arsenal of upgraded weapons. In what we can only assume is a bid to coax new noble pilots to their side, both factions are here to show off their most improved war gear. It's time for a runaway walk-off of titanic proportions. So here we see a pretty epic picture of a battle between knights. Looks like the Imperial Knight is slightly outnumbered, but very cool effects. Definitely some awesome paint jobs. Plasma for the glowing look. In a classic fashion, faux pas, the Knight Castellan and Tyrant have both come wearing the same weapon, the venerable Plasma Decimator, or Ectoplasma Decimator for Team Chaos. It has always been a favorite for melting swathes of elite enemies, and it's received a serious upgrade on all fronts: strength, armor penetration, and even damage. Will these brave knights be content to use the safer low power option, or will they reach for even higher strength and damage as they ignite the catwalk with its even riskier supercharged mode? So here we have the old profiles. Strength, range 48, 2d6 shots either way, supercharged or regular, and then strength 7 regular with -3 1 damage, or supercharged strength 8 -3 2 damage. So before, when you supercharge, you got an extra strength and an extra damage, but on a roll of a 1 you suffered a mortal wound. And now for the new version, the standard is 48 inches. It does have the blast keyword, which it did not before. And now it has heavy 2d6 shots, strength 8 -4 2 damage, and then supercharged. It is 48 inches, heavy 2d6, strength 9 -4 3 damage. And then again it still has blast, and each time an unmodified hit roll of 1 is made for an attack with this weapon, the bearer suffers 2 mortal wounds. So it does 2 mortal wounds on the roll of a 1, but it went from having a regular profile of strength 7 -3 1 damage to having a regular profile of strength 8 -4 2 damage. So basically got an extra strength, an extra AP, and an extra damage, and then also gained the blast keyword. So if you're shooting at larger units, it's going to get minimum shots, so you're never going to have to worry about rolling the just 2 minimum. And then for the supercharged profile, again 2d6 shots either way. It was strength 8 -3 2 damage, and now it's strength 9 -4 3 damage. So again, it gets an extra -1, an extra 1 on all of the stats. Very good. Very good. I mean, guaranteeing the 2 damage now without supercharging is basically going to guarantee, Primaris Marines, or, Space Marines in general, Chaos come in with their 2 wounds as well. So it's going to guarantee each wound will basically wax one of those Marines. And then for stronger things that have 3 wounds, obviously you can go for the supercharge, or if you're shooting at a vehicle or something like that. But if you're shooting at something with an even number of wounds, there's not really a reason to supercharge. So if you have something with 4 wounds and you're shooting at it, there's no actual reason to supercharge now, except for the +1 strength. So, and typically you're probably going to be wounding, say you're shooting at like Custodes or something like that, where they have toughness 5 or potentially toughness 6, the extra might not be worth it. Now if you're shooting something like bikes, maybe it's worth it, but typically 2 shots is going to kill like a custodian guard. So it's interesting. Definitely the going from 2 flat damage to an upgraded 3 damage on the supercharge is huge. The extra mortal wound definitely make you think twice about using it, but I think with the flat 2 damage, you're not going to have to overcharge nearly as often or supercharge. So very nice profile, obviously very good. And then again, having the blast keyword beneficial in a lot of cases, but if you are in combat, you're not going to be able to shoot it. But also, we know the knights can basically just walk out of combat, so it shouldn't really be a problem there. So next we have the chainswords, fashion made flexible. Kicking your opponents to death is so last season, and knights of all classes have instead began to swing their Reaper chainswords and Thunderstrike gauntlets in wide arcs. Given that these chainswords are the size of trees, and a mite more dangerous than even the most well-heeled giant foot, knights appropriately attired for close quarters combat earn a solid power boost. What's more, the Reaper chainsword comes with 2 fresh new looks for sweeping away hordes of enemy infantry or striking down a single large target. So previously, the Reaper chainsword only had one profile. It was just melee, plus 6 strength, minus 3 AP, 6 damage, which is obviously very good, very strong. Now it has a strike and sweep attack. The strike attack is melee plus 6, minus 4, 6 damage. So it got an extra 1 AP, which is good, obviously. And then sweep is now melee user strength, which previously has been 8. Assuming that stays the same, it would still be 8. Minus 3, 2 damage. And then each time an attack is made with this weapon profile, make 3 hit rolls instead of 1. So that is pretty good. Previously, they would use their stomp if they were like in combat with a bunch of mediocre things, and the stomp was pretty decent. Obviously, it makes sense to have a sweep attack with this. Getting 3 attacks instead of 2 is really good also. So previously, if you got surrounded by too many enemies, there wasn't much you could do. You could stomp them, or you could walk away and then shoot or go fight something more useful. Getting 3 attacks instead of 1, depending how many attacks are on their profile, if you have like 5 or 6 attacks, having 15 to 18 attacks, depending if you're using buffs to get up to that 6th attack, etc. Or like, chaos potentially when it kills something gains extra attacks. We don't know exactly what some of the special rules are going to be, but this really increases the amount of damage output this knight can do to something that's not a single target. Obviously, the single is not going to change much. It basically kept the same profile as before and just called that one the strike, and then just got 1 extra AP, which is very good. Flat 6 damage is obviously amazing. You can basically kill most things in 2 hits, most characters in 1. So it's very strong. But now I think there's going to be an extra benefit to taking a chainsword. Now it talked about the gauntlet but didn't say anything, so we'll see if that comes up later in the article. But it would be pretty cool if the gauntlet had a crush attack and then like a smack attack or sweep attack or something like that as well. But I mean, if one is substantially better than the other, we're probably going to see people taking the more diverse one, or vice versa. We'll see how the other one is. So next we have lasers claim the spotlight of death. In an attempt to win over undecided nobles with fancy ancient technology, the Chaos Knights debut the Desecrator's upgraded laser destructor. The Idolators have been hard at work to make this long-range firearm much more reliable than before, and while consistency may not be especially chaotic, redirecting power from its explosive blast allows the destructor to punch through armor more efficiently, dealing eye-watering damage with every shot. So we have the laser destructor. The old profile is 60-inch range, heavy D3, strength 14, minus 4 AP, D6 damage. When resolving attacks made with this weapon, a wound roll of 6+ inflicts a D3 mortal wounds on the target in addition to any other damage. And now it has been increased to 72-inch range. It has a heavy 2, so instead of heavy D3, it's just flat 2. So you're just getting the average all the time, more consistent. And then it is strength 14, minus 5 AP, and then the damage is D3 plus 6. So before it was D6, so it was 1 to 6. And now it is D3 plus 6, so it's basically going to be 7 to 9. So from 1 to 6 to 7 to 9, that is a huge, huge difference in the average damage output. Because with 1 to 6, you're averaging, basically 3.5 damage per shot. With 7 to 9, you're basically averaging 8 damage per shot. So it's over double the damage output. And then you never have to worry about the 1, but you don't have the benefit of getting the 3. You obviously lose the Mortal Wound special ability, but it does get 1 extra AP. So I would say overall, for a big knight that's taking a single weapon like this, that's only going to get, maximum 2 shots. Before it was maximum 3, but now it's just going to get 2 shots. You want that consistent damage output. So, on average, if you hit and wound with both of your shots now, you're going to be doing 16 damage, which is pretty good. Now, it doesn't affect invulnerable saves or anything. So, obviously, they could save that. I'm sure a command point reroll against an average of 8 damage weapon is going to be highly likely. So, not sure that this is amazing now, but it's definitely better than it was before. They should have kept the Mortal Wound rule, though. The Imperial's fabled Knight Perceptors strike back in the contest for the Laser Crown with snazzy enhancements to the classic Las Impulsor. Both firing modes explode back onto the scene with the Blast rule, all the better for evaporating swarming masses of vile aliens, as well as more reliable damage for placing your shots appropriately. Blast keeps the Knight Perceptor from firing at enemies that get too close, at least under normal circumstances. So the high-intensity version also gains an extra 6-inch range to help keep your foes distant. So again, you can just step out of combat, theoretically, with the Knights, so you don't have to worry about having the Blast keyword, making it so they can't shoot into combat, or in a combat they're in. So the Las Impulsor before was 36-inch range, heavy 2d6, strength 6 minus 2, d3 damage. And then the high intensity was range 18, so lower range, with heavy d6, 12 strength, AP minus 4, d6 damage. So, okay, not particularly amazing. And then now we see the low intensity is still 36-inch range, heavy 2d6, strength 6 minus 2, 2 damage. So the only thing that changed on the low intensity is it went to flat 2 damage instead of d3, and then it went to blast. So arguably, that's good. Again, a lot of stuff has 2 wounds now. So while you lose the potential to do the 3rd wound, you get rid of that potential to... What happens a lot of times with those 1 to 3 weapons is you hit something with 2 wounds and it does 1 damage to it, and then it wastes the 2nd shot to kill it. And then, of course, you roll a 1 again for the next one, and then it takes another shot to kill it. As where now, you don't have the potential to do 3 damage, but you never have to worry about doing 1. So, in my opinion, the consistency is much better. If you're shooting at something like, 2 wound Primaris Marine or something like that, 2 damage, straight up, no worries about taking multiple shots to kill a guy. If they fail their save, they're dead. So I think that's pretty good. And then obviously the blast keyword again incentivizes you to shoot at larger units. And then for the high intensity, so it was 18 inches high intensity, now it's 24. So the extra 6 inches is pretty good. Knights also have pretty good movement, somewhere around, let's say, 12-inch move. So it's going to have like a 36-inch threat range. Pretty good. Heavy D6. So 1 to 6 shots still. Strength 12 minus 4. Instead of the D6 damage, it's flat 4. So again, it went from 3.5 average damage or 3 to 4 average damage up to just guaranteed 4. So now you shoot at something, what is it? Virtus Raiders, they have 5 wounds now or 4? I mean, anything with 4 wounds, flat up, boom, 1 hit, kill, much better than that potential, again, of rolling like a 1 and then a 6, and then you just wasted, 2 shots to kill something out of your D6, as opposed to just guaranteeing 4 per. So I want to say that's real good for like killing, custodes. And then again, it has the blast keyword now. So if you shoot at a larger unit, you don't have to worry about getting like that 1. You're going to get the automatic, minimum 3. And then if you shoot at a large squad, which you're probably not going to with this weapon, maybe with the other profile, you can potentially get max shots. So, not bad. Again, I don't think this thing is particularly amazing. I mean, on average, you're going to roll 3 to 4 for your shots. And then if you're hitting on, let's say, 3s, I don't know, Knights may be up to 2 ballistic skill at this point in time. So, let's say you hit with 3 of your 3 to 4 shots, and then you wound on, depending what you're shooting, probably something strong. If it's a vehicle, you're probably wounding on 3s. Maybe 2 of your shots go through, and then they don't get a save. You're averaging like 8 damage. Not bad. Not consistent though. It's okay. It's okay. You get double the shots with the lower profile, but with only -2 AP and 6 strength. So if you're not doubling their toughness with the 12 strength, there's not a ton of incentive for the high intensity. I mean, obviously, you get twice as many shots and it does, half the damage. But the AP is the big difference. So you really want to be doubling your opponent's toughness, or they have to have like a pretty beefy save for it to be worth using the high intensity. I don't think this is particularly great. I mean, it wasn't before and it doesn't appear to be now, so. So yeah, that's basically it. So a little preview of a couple of the weapons. Not bad. I'm definitely curious to see what the other weapons are, obviously. We will have to wait and see, it looks like. Very cool little picture there. Definitely looking forward to the Knights. I love playing Knights, especially in like tournament settings, even though they're not always the most competitive. If you're playing a bunch of games, sometimes it is way more fun to just have a handful of models and not have to worry about moving around like 100 dudes and all kinds of crazy stratagems and all this stuff. It's just nice and it's fun. It takes a lot less out of you. Worrying about, oh, did I leave anybody behind? Or, all your different rules for all your different stuff. It's nice. I enjoy playing few models that are stronger, even if it's not the most competitive. I did like it better when you could ally in some guys. Like for a long time, I played a Knights army with some Scions, and that was really good because I could drop in the Scions where I needed a little extra fire support or hold an objective. You could take like a couple smaller like units or characters, etc., and then go stomping off with your big boys. So, but overall, looks good. I mean, they're definitely getting stronger, which is good because, obviously the power creep, so they need to be able to do extra damage. I would say the winner is, realistically, the Reaper Chainsword with the second profile is very strong. Assuming you can get your knight up to 5 or 6 attacks roughly, having 15 to 18 attacks at strength 8, -3 AP, 2 damage is pretty strong. You're going to be able to wipe out like entire units. So that's very good. Now, is that much different than the stomp attack was? Not particularly. Maybe they'll do like stomp attack gives you 2 attacks instead of 1. And then like the sweep attack on this gives you 3. So there's a real benefit to taking a melee weapon. Because that was definitely part of the problem before. The melee weapons did a ton of damage, but you could just do like a stomp attack. So the sweep is not that important. If you still get, the profile stomp attack at user strength, -2, 2 damage, well, it's not really that important to take this if you still get 3 attacks per 1 with stomp. Now, if you get 2 attacks per 1, there's a big incentive to have a chain sword. And we'll see about the fist as well. Before, the fist was extremely powerful, did even more damage than the sword did on like the strike attack. So hopefully they have like a crush with the fist and then a sweep, or maybe they'll just have, before they had that cool stratagem where you could grab a hold of a dude and just keep doing damage to him until he either died or you like failed to damage him. That was a pretty cool like little stratagem. But to tell you the truth, the fist itself was not that much better than the chainsword. So I always found myself taking the chainsword, or using the chainsword, I should say. But we'll see. Depending on how everything's structured and how many command points you're actually going to have the ability to like use with your knights. Typically I played House Raven, so very often I was using extra command points to like supercharge or get like rerolls for my supercharge. I was using my relic to basically have this profile, which essentially this upgraded Plasma Decimator is really just like the relic profile for the Plasma Decimator you could take before. It had the extra AP, it had the extra strength, and it had the extra damage. It didn't have 2 mortal wounds before, and it didn't have the blast keyword, but it was very good. I took it literally every time. So, very good, obviously. And now it's not a relic, it just comes standard. So, super cool. Looking forward to the Knights. Let me know what you think Does this seem too powerful? Is it not going to be powerful enough? Are they going to have to make some serious changes to Knights to have them be like viable in the competitive scene? Seems like everything has gotten substantially stronger. So depending on how many Knights you can actually take and what kind of like objective secured rules they have, etc., still could be very difficult to be competitive with Knights. Because if you're only able to run like 4 big Knights or like, 3 big Knights and 2 small Knights or something like that, it's going to be very difficult to be competitive, because as soon as you lose 1 Knight, you basically like can't lock down objectives. And then at that point in time, a lot of times your Knights are trying to get up close and personal. Even if they are equipped for shooting, one of the benefits of them is they get to participate in the shooting phase, and then they're strong in combat as well. So you could always shoot a bunch of stuff, charge into combat, and then stomp on it. Or, whatever. As where now, that's not necessarily... Well, we'll have to see. Because if you have to stay on an objective to claim the objective, you can't necessarily charge into combat. So we'll see how it goes. I don't want to speculate too much right now because we haven't seen a lot of stuff on them. But I am very excited. I like the idea of a Psyker Knight for Chaos. Hopefully we see some kind of psychic powers for the, Imperial Knights as well. I think if they fill out the codexes and give a bunch of different house rules and a bunch of like special stuff for the Chaos, and then they already had a lot of stuff for Imperial, I think it's going to be very strong. So with the upgraded weapons, depending on, in the end, it's going to really come down to point cost and what you can field as a viable force. Because there was a small time when you could field, you could actually have 5 Knights at one point in time. Because you could get 400 points per Knight and have 5 Knights of the big ones. And they were really good then. And then you could have 4 Knights, including 1 big one, and then your like guard detachment, which is what I ran for a while. And that was very good as well. Very fun, pretty competitive overall. But then when they switched up the points and everything, and then they went to no more like kind of mixed armies, that really changes the game. So we'll have to see how it flushes out, but definitely exciting. They had mentioned something about potentially taking like Be'lakor or some demons along with your Chaos Knights. That would be really cool. If you could basically have a few Chaos Knights with like Be'lakor and some demons, that would be awesome. I don't know if that's viable in gameplay or if they were just talking about like lore-wise, but that would be really cool. And same with the regular Knights. If they can have Imperium allies, I think they're going to be a lot better. If not, it's really going to be up to how like the War Dogs flush out, or if you can take, only 4 or potentially 5 Knights. So we'll see. Looks cool so far. I'm definitely excited for them. I really like Knights. I love the models. I love the idea of just, a few giant rampaging beasts, and your opponent either gets completely waxed because they can't destroy them, or the second you lose one, the tides shift drastically in their favor. So that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Are you going to join the powers of chaos, or are you going to stay loyal and go with the Imperial Knights, or are you not interested in them at all and you think that they suck and you're looking forward to crushing these giant beasts? Definitely always like hearing from you guys in the comments. So I appreciate all the positivity. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and Warcry content as well. And obviously we have plenty of painting, modeling, conversion tutorial videos, and we are a commission-based studio, so we always show off the commissions as they go out of the studio. Keep your eye out for a video later on with a recently completed commission as well. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.